As far as we could start with the movies because it's going to be pretty quick with that, I think. Was there
I
any
don't think
new
I got
movies
anything.
that you watched?
Other than the one documentary that I told you about earlier in the week. Take your medicine, Xanax.
Oh, yeah. I was afraid. You told me about it, and I was like, I should watch it, but I'm kind of afraid to.
I watch it. It kind of like made me glad I've never taken Xanax. It's like the one thing I've never taken.
Yeah, I mean, it's a game changer for people. Like everybody's heard me once in a while on here. I go, "Oh, it's a Xanax day." It helps a lot of people, but it's also highly addictive.
Oh, yeah.
And being an addict, I get very scared about it, but it's interesting. I definitely want to watch it, but the only thing that I watched movie-wise was two things. I actually have two movies.
Tell me.
One I will do is okay, we'll start with the documentary. You want the documentary or you want the horror movie?
Documentary.
All right, documentary. I happened to watch on Showtime. It was released. They have a documentary on Ronnie James Dio.
Wow.
Called Dreamers Never Die. I think that's what it's called. It's on Showtime. It just was released. It went through like the festival circuit and stuff, and it was like, and I've always been a Dio fan, right?
Yeah.
Fucking, especially during his solo stuff, Holy Diver and Last in Line stuff.
Holy Diver!
Yeah, look out! And I've always just been like I've followed him over the years. I was a big fan of him when I was a teenager. That guy, first of all, one of the best vocalists in rock and roll. In general. I don't want to talk even about metal. It's just like, but I never realized, and it made me think a lot about, and it was funny because I did listen to Dio like the whole way here before I got here. Because it really goes into, it starts all the way from the beginning and goes through his entire career. And you never realize, or you didn't really think about it, where he was, first of all, he was a jazz trumpet player, and he was in the 60s. He was doing a lot of
Wow.
Had some 45 recordings. It was like Ronnie and the Rollers and all this stuff. And you're like, you could hear his voice, and you're like, oh wow, yeah, that's Dio. And then I had known that he was in a band called Elf before
I didn't
everything.
know anything about.
I've never listened to them.
Was he in Rainbow?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah, we'll get to that. Like he started in Elf, which they were signed. Interesting thing is that they went to sign them, and Richie Blackmore and Roger Glover from Deep Purple were going to help them record their first record.
Okay.
And then something happened or whatever, but they were kind of involved with, like, you could tell when, and I went onto Spotify and was like, is Elf on Spotify? And by George, yes it is. And I listened to it. It's great. Like, I never listened to them. I mean, it's very Deep Purple. You can tell it's very Deep Purple-ish. A lot of piano, but very blue, like rock and blues and stuff. But his voice is just like, oh my God. He sounded great then. And then you don't realize that. So he was an Elf. That didn't last at all. Richie Blackmore leaves Deep Purple and goes, I'm going to get that guy from that band Elf and like half of his band, and I'm going to start Rainbow.
Right.
And they take off, and but they were always big in Europe. They weren't that big in the U.S. So it was interesting because they play, and everybody's talking about this Dio guy. Like, oh my God, he's got an amazing voice. And they got Richie Blackmore, and like Stargazer is like one of the best freaking rock songs in the world. I love it. Love that album, Rainbow Rising. He's in that. They didn't hit in the U.S. So Richie Blackmore's like, I want to do more of like pop stuff, and Ronnie was just like, I sing about fucking slaying dragons and shit. Like, I don't want to do that. I'm like the little elf guy. So
he had to be a D&D freak.
Oh yeah, I mean, he's all into it. It was interesting what his thoughts. He's like, he found his wife early on. They were married for 40 something years, and everybody was trying to go the pop route. Even Rainbow, like they got a new singer, and they had that since you've been gone. Like, that's, Ronnie heard that song, and Richie Blackmore's like, we're going to record this because we need a hit in the U.S. And Ronnie's like, I ain't fucking singing that shit. I don't sing about love songs because I met my love. I don't have to sing about it. Like, I don't worry about heartbreak and all that stuff. He's like, I've been with Wendy so Richie goes, fuck you, we're getting rid of you. So now he's like, oh shit, what am I going to do? Cut to fucking Black Sabbath, loses Ozzy, and then get Dio in.
Yep.
And everybody once Ozzy left Sabbath, everybody's just like, oh, they're done. They're fucking done. And then they put out Heaven and Hell.
Yep.
Fucking amazing record. They go like he's huge again because he gets out of Rainbow. He's like, and he didn't own anything in Rainbow, so he was broke. And then Tony Iommi's like, oh, we got rid of Ozzy. We need a new singer, so they get Sabbath, and Sabbath takes off with that album. Everybody was like, oh shit, this is great. Cut to they do 2 albums with Sabbath, and same thing. Like guitar, people talk about lead singer's disease.
Ugh.
Lead guitarist disease between Richie Blackmore saying I want to do pop, then like Tony kicks Dio out of Sabbath because they were all coked up and they're all just messed up, and he's like, so he goes, fuck it, I'm gonna get a band and I'm gonna do my own stuff. Does solo, that takes Dio, that goes freaking 3 times. This guy, 3 times. No, if you actually count, it's 4 times because he does Dio, that takes off, and then Nirvana happens. And then now he's playing clubs again, but he's still putting out music. And then all of a sudden, near the end of his life, they get Ronnie back and they do Heaven and Hell, that tour. He's taking off again. Like he went from like his career was just
a roller coaster, and
just like the singer on that, like he just and so many bands that like he was like. It's just, I highly recommend watching it.
It's on Showtime.
Yeah, and the fact that I watched it, and made a Dio playlist like right after it, because you're thinking like Sabbath, Rainbow, even Elf. I listened to the whole Elf album. I'm like, this ain't bad. It's very 70s Deep Purple blues kind of stuff.
Yeah, I'm a big Will Ferrell fan too.
Buddy the Elf, what's your favorite color?
Cotton-headed ninny monger.
Yeah. But yeah, I think it's called Dreamers Never Die. Check it out. It's on Showtime.
All right.
Even if you're just a casual Dio fan, like you just the contributions that this man made to metal and rock. I mean, he invented the freaking devil horns, for God's sakes. Which is an Italian curse. It's the Moloch, he calls it. His grandmother used to do it. So Dreamers Never Die. Definitely check it out.
It's on Paramount Plus.
Oh, there you go. Well, I think they're hooked up with Showtime now, Paramount Plus.
Oh.
I was actually flipping through cable, and I saw it, and I was like,
wow.
Oh, shit. But yeah, definitely watch that. It was really good. The other movie that I saw, which I'll be way shorter than the Dio one, was it's kind of a late to the party with me, but I
feel like we need a jingle for the late to the party thing.
We do.
Or at least an intro. Do we have one?
Yes, we do.
That's why you said it before, and I was like, wait, what's the late to the party one?
It's like, hey, you blew it?
I guess I did.
It's in there. But anyway, you don't have to play it. It's not that late to the party. It's not like Avatar, which I'll be watching this week.
You mean Avatar right behind me, Avatar?
Yeah.
Because that's the poster for Avatar coming back to the theaters.
Yeah, I still haven't seen Avatar. And the second one's coming out. So
I don't see your late to the party thing. I see.
John, what's going on back there?
That and hot diarrhea.
It's in there.
I really don't see it late to the
party.
We
did it. We only did a late to the party once, but no, it's a movie that.
Yeah, but I don't need the whole jingle. I just mean like a little tag of late to the party.
Yeah, no, but it's a movie because I saw that Dead Meat covered it on the Kill Count, so I was like, I heard this was good. I don't know if you ever saw it. It's called Bodies, Bodies, Bodies.
I wanted to watch it with Pete Davidson.
Yes.
And I was like, and I wanted to actually go to the theater and see it, and nobody wanted to fucking go. And then like all this shit out. It was one of those times where like I wanted to go see it, and it was like, you want to go see it? It's like, well, when? Well, the next showing is at 8:00. It's like, oh, then it's not done till 10, and blah, not really. And then it was too late, and I never went to go see it.
Yeah. Well,
was it good?
It was good. Because I heard people talking about it, and I was just like, it's a little too Gen Z for me. But that's the whole premise of the movie. I mean, the movie is basically, it's these rich Gen Z, millennials actually, not Gen Z, millennials. There's a big hurricane coming, and they decide to have a hurricane party at this guy's huge mansion, and they decide to play this game, Bodies, Bodies, Bodies. And it turns out real bodies are being discovered, and it's this whole like mystery. But the way that these characters play it, they are very like everything is just based on their phone, and it's all about social media. And I won't spoil it for you if you want to watch it. But at the end, you figure out what happened, or who done it, and you're like, no fucking way. I did not see it coming. And it was interesting. It was fun. It definitely pokes fun at millennials in general.
Okay.
And so, you have I have teenage girls, you have, young teenagers and stuff.
Oh boy.
So you'll get it. When you watch it, you'll be like, yeah, that's exactly how they act. But it's great. It's a different take. Like, like we're saying this year, horror movies were awesome. I would give Bodies a solid 3.5 pals out of 5. It was just maybe I'd only taken off points just because I can't relate to it as much. But I could see, similarities with my kids, and just the way that they act and the way that they solve problems and stuff like that. Whereas like a person my age is like, why the hell are you doing that? That's so stupid. And there's like the quote unquote old guy that's at the party who's like 30, the old guy in the club. But if you get a chance, it's a quick movie. I don't know what it's on. I had rented it. I don't think it's on any of the streamings yet. But rent it if you get a chance and watch it. It's fun. It's not long. It's entertaining. And the ending, the whole reveal, I did not see it coming.
Oh, see, you got me there because I just hate predictable shit.
It's not predictable.
Now, I don't know if I mentioned it. Like, in looking, I just jumped over to see something, and I saw my list of, like, stuff I've watched from the sites I get it from. Mm-hmm. I don't know if I brought this up. Did I tell you I watched that movie, the sequel to R.I.P.D.?
I just saw it show up on the screen. I was like,
R.I.P.D. 2.
You saw that shit?
Rise of the Damned. I did watch it.
Oh. What's the hot take? What's the hot
very
take?
Direct to video, which is very depressing. Like, it's very depressing just because, like with the original R.I.P.D., they got big name people leading this, and the guy isn't very big name, but I remember him from this show I watched with Bruce Campbell. It was called what the fuck was it called? It was about a guy who was a former Burn Notice.
Okay.
And he played Michael Weston, like the former spy, and Bruce Campbell played like a former spy, and they're both retired, whatever. But like, he's such a good actor, and he's so much fun to watch. And I'm like, he's very much like an A- actor.
Okay.
He's not. But like R.I.P.D. 1 had fucking
Ryan Reynolds and the dude.
Yeah. And I was like, okay, that two A-list names. I don't know that Ryan Reynolds was as A-list then as he is now.
No, he was on his way.
And then fucking Green Lantern happened.
Yeah, I think that's what killed him.
But it was all right. It wasn't. I mean, if you want to sit and watch something,
I have no
mindless entertainment. Like, let me check this piece of shit out. I got nothing else.
I don't think I saw the first one. So, I mean, it looked interesting. When I remember when it first came out, I was like, oh, it's a comic book movie. Okay. Yeah, I like those. Jeff Bridges.
Yes.
Jeff Bridges. I love Jeff Bridges. So I'm like, and, Ryan Reynolds, I loved him at the time at Waiting. So I was like, oh, okay. Yeah, this looks interesting. But I never got a chance to see it.
All right. Well,